Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 506. I was white here and played e4, and my opponent played c5. We get the Sicilian defense, knight f3, d6. We continue with the mainline moves. I choose the open Sicilian, the main way to play against it. And he played with d6, which is also the top choice there. And then right here, he plays the very rare move, e6. Knight f6 is the overwhelming choice at this point, to put some pressure on the e-pawn and provoke the knight forward so as to prevent the e-pawn, or the c-pawn, from coming forward. So the knight on c3 blocks the c-pawn. The usual opening strategy, but e6. So what could I play here? I could play knight c3. I could play c4, going for the Maraxi bind, which is also a top engine choice. But I was a little bit confused. I thought this was a Scheveningen. Actually, it's not a Scheveningen. The Scheveningen is... you'd play knight f6 first, and then you play e6, and that's a Scheveningen. And then the move g4, with the idea of g5 hitting the knight, is known as the Keres attack. So I played g4 here, thinking, if you listened to me during the video, thinking I was playing the Scheveningen attack, or the Keres attack against the Scheveningen. But in fact, I'm just playing an early pawn storm against this unusual e6 move. You can see it's not an awful move. I still keep some little opening edge, but not the best move in the position. Anyway, knight c6. He doesn't immediately transpose into the Scheveningen. That's one reason why this move order isn't particularly precise. He could have played knight f6 there, and we would have transposed. So here I wasn't sure what to do. He's challenging this knight. Maybe he wants to trade. I'm not sure. The trade brings my queen forward, and he's not really developed, so maybe he doesn't really want to trade. I pushed on with g5. I thought, well, since he hasn't put his knight on f6, maybe I can just prevent it. But, well, he has a good response to g5, so I should just continue with knight c3, just normal development here. And looks like I have maybe a bit of a funny-looking position, but still quite playable with the edge for white. Instead, I push on with g5. And now this is a very important idea. He can play h6 to immediately counter this early pawn advance. You know, so a lot of times it's the case that you don't want to allow your opponent to gain all this space without trying to extract some kind of penalty. And the point with h6 is that it immediately threatens to take this pawn, and I can't defend it with h4, the natural defense, because he'll just take, and the h-pawn will be pinned against the rook here, so I can't take back. So let's see, let's erase a couple of these arrows. So h4 is no response to h6. I would just have to take back with bishop if he takes. And so what would I need to play after h6? Probably have to take it. And that's not really what I want. I wanted to keep this pawn here as a way to kind of cramp black's development. That's the idea in this system. But fortunately for me, he didn't play that. He played knight e5, kind of walking into a future f4. And now I have quite a nice opening advantage. I just continue with some normal developing moves here. Let's see, he goes a6. I go f4 at this point, kicking his knight. He drops back to g6. And bishop e3, just keeping on, just doing all the normal development and keeping a good advantage for white, although he should still play h6 here. I still haven't defended my rook, so h4 is still not a good response there. But he cancel that. He develops his pieces. Bishop d7, I play h4 now. Goes rook c8. Bit of a funny rook move, putting a rook on the c-file ahead of getting his king out of the middle, but maybe he plans to keep his king in the middle for the duration, but somehow he's got to eventually develop his kingside pieces. So it seems to me I have quite an edge here. I go queen d2, he goes h6 now, and I just push on with h5, kicking his knight. And he played he played h takes g5. Knight takes f4 is an interesting sacrifice here. It walks into a fork, so that's an interesting try, but h takes g5 is good too. I take. I can't take his knight right away, once again, because of the pin, so I take back this way. And then his knight hops into e5. I go bishop to e2, preparing to maybe castle queenside and defend this rook. And he decides to sack the exchange for no particular compensation. He's already a little bit down, and after this, I really should just be winning, because he got nothing for that. He didn't mess up my pawn structure. I'm perfectly safe to castle queenside, so I should just routinely go on to win this game. However, being me, I managed to find a way not to win it so easily. I castle queenside. Let's see, he takes the pawn, and I take back. I think this is, oh, I should just take back. It's still okay. I played rook d to g1. Okay, that's still okay. I'm getting, but he can take here with check. He gets a little bit of compensation now, and then he played queen to f6. And I went rook to h3, preparing to double. On the g file, I thought, well, I can make use of this h pawn, which is now defended by my bishop, and just pile up on this pawn on g7 here. He goes knight h6, finally getting his king side developed, and I go rook h to g3. So a nice position for me. He pushes on, and I take. This is all good. Knight takes, and rook to f3, harassing his queen. Maybe not the most accurate move, but you can see I'm still in good shape, almost regardless of what move I play. But rook to f1 would have been a little more accurate than rook f3. Interesting. Yeah, the rook on f3 blocks the bishop, so maybe it's not such a great idea to put that rook there. He goes queen g7, and then right here I give up the advantage and in one move. His queen is still attacking my knight, and my queen is the only piece defending it, and I'm just completely oblivious to that fact and play queen g5, and he just grabs a knight. So one little blunder, and it shifted from winning for white to winning for black. You know, I've let's see, what is this now? He's got two pieces for a rook, and he's got an extra pawn, so that gives him, you know, just in material terms, about a 2-pawn advantage. And there's nothing wrong with his position anymore. His pieces are all out. The bishop is really the only sad piece in his position. The other pieces look like they're doing something useful or about to jump into the game. Even the bishop is probably coming in pretty quickly with bishop to c6 there. So anyway, black is doing fine here, and black should just go on to win the game, but it was not to be. So let's see how it went down. I started with rook to f6, just trying to pile up on this f7 point. I thought this was a weak point in his position, and well, the engine has the same idea. It wants me to double immediately with rook g to f1, but with the same kind of concept. So anyway, I went rook f6, giving up this pawn, but going for the counterplay. I go bishop to d3, kicking his queen, and right here you notice this is actually kind of a sharp position. There's only one queen move that keeps this big advantage for for black, which is kind of mysterious. You wouldn't think that, but well, my pieces are very active, so I guess black is required to play precisely. So queen e5 is good because it threatens to trade queens, and I don't want to trade queens, you know, going down in material, but I guess it's hard for me to avoid it. Let's go ahead and put this on the board, since this seems to be a critical turning point in the game. Queen to e5. Can't I just retreat the queen? I guess not. The queen's needed to defend this rook. The rook is loose here. So yeah, this forces a queen trade. I can grab the knight. He takes the queen. I take back. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it on the board. This is the best play according to the chess engine is take the knight, queen takes queen. With check, I have to take back. And well, I had to take back even if it wasn't with check. And then he can grab the bishop, and I can get a pawn. And once again, it's he's got an extra pawn, and he's also got two pieces for a rook. Should be a winning endgame. Also, he immediately has knight f5, kind of threatening to take a lot of squares away from my rooks there and making them ineffective. So a win for black there. But any other move, and I'm still in the game. He plays the second best move, queen d4. Staying on the fourth rank, staying active, you know, kind of a logical move. It's just that he really needed to force the trade of queens and go for the endgame is the only way to keep the advantage there. So anyway, I take off the knight. And I get to win a pawn here, also with check, and I start chasing his king around. So his material edge is decreasing a little bit, and his king is a little bit less safe. So black is still better, but it's just a slight edge, and it's a complicated position. So now this is a long game, so let's go through some moves quickly. Rook d1, hitting the queen, not the best move. Queen e3 check, king b1, rook g8. You know, it just took a lot of maneuvering for me to figure out how this would all work. I decided to rook to g8. Oh, it's black's move. Rook to g8, chasing the queen. Yeah, this is the blunder that really switches the advantage. He was keeping an edge even through all of that, but this just gives up a piece for no reason. And now we go into this endgame. Cancel. He didn't take. He should just take. He played rook to g1. And right here I have a mate in 4. I was wondering about this, but I didn't see it. So let's find the mate here. Queen to f8 check. The king runs here. If the well, first of all, if the bishop blocks, then queen takes d6 check, and I'm crashing through. So the king has to run away. Ah, that's what I didn't notice. I didn't notice that the rook and the queen are coordinating on the d6 square. So queen takes d6 check, king to c8, and rook to f8 check, and this is going to be mating. He just interposes the bishop by take, and it's mate. So that's the way to win. Quickly. I did eventually manage to win this, but I did it in kind of a slow fashion. So let's see. Instead of playing queen to f8 check, I took his rook, went for this endgame. He takes back with the queen, and I interposed my queen, only move. And now he decided to... Oh, he didn't decide to trade. He kept the queens on. His best move is to trade and go for the endgame. He went queen d4. I go rook back to f1, securing the back rank and freeing my queen up. Let's just march on a few moves here because it stays in the range of just a little bit better for white for a long time. Basically, just the material advantage. I have the queen and the rook against the queen, bishop, and pawn. So just a slight edge to white with a lot of maneuvering. But eventually he gets into trouble. It started with this walking his king up here. Although it's natural to get his king around the near his pieces where it can be protected, but he's vulnerable to checks from behind, and that's what starts to happen here after queen to c4. Yeah, queen e8 check right away is the way to play it. I didn't play that immediately. I kicked his queen first, and then went queen e8 check, and now I'm winning once again. So I think I just stay winning the rest of the game. I have to chase his king around quite a bit, but he never discovers a way out of this box, and he never gets the chance to checkmate me here because my queen is too active. He could try bishop c4. Oh, bishop c4 is the only move here, and rook d3 check is a nice touch, taking advantage of the pin on the bishops. The bishop can't take it, and if the queen takes it, I take back with the pawn. Well, that's what happens because the king has no moves either. So queen takes is forced, only legal move, and so now it's just a queen versus a bishop. And, well, this is kind of an interesting endgame. The queen is just a much more powerful piece and will eventually win, even with an extra pawn. It's just he can't quite set up a fortress with his bishop and his pawns and force a win. I can always break through. But quickly, queen takes e5. Yeah, I should have grabbed this pawn immediately. I don't know why I didn't do that. So I played some inaccurate moves, but eventually I found the way to keep him at bay and stop his pawn. It's funny, I had a lot of trouble with that pawn, and I could have just taken it. And it's just a lot of maneuvering with the queen, but the queen really has a lot more power than the bishop, which is just tied up defending things. And eventually I hit on the idea of bringing the queen around, taking his undefended pawn, after securing the advance of this pawn, making sure it could never come forward, and also chasing his king away from the action. And then now I can chase his bishop away because I can push my pawns forward and undermine his bishop. And at this point, he resigned. So pretty interesting game, kind of an instructive endgame showing the power of the queen versus the bishop. But of course, it requires a lot of patience to play that endgame. You're not going to break through immediately. A lot of careful maneuvering to push the king away and protect against all the various threats before you finally break through. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.